Hello, it's Lauren. Happy New Year to everyone. This is my first new video of 2023, and I am shooting on a brand new phone, and I'm very excited about this because the quality of this camera allows you to see every pore, everything that's happening. You can see eyebrow hairs individually. The quality of this camera is so much better. My husband bought this for me for Christmas. I absolutely love it. It's a Samsung Galaxy 22 Ultra or Plus or whatever the big one is. And the quality is just so much better than my old phone, and I'm very excited to be shooting on this. So for today's video, this is a chatty style video. I will put all of the products down in the description box below. I might tell you a little bit about what I am doing and what's going on my face, but I really just want this to be a chatty video where I talk about my intentions for 2023, what I want to do with my Boldly Lauren channel and space, and I'm just really excited to be filming again. I sort of took a month-long hiatus unintentionally. And I'm using the Eclat foundation. What happened was, basically since Thanksgiving, we have just been traveling a lot. We went to the Vail Beaver Creek area for Thanksgiving. We just did a small Thanksgiving with just me and my husband and my daughter, and it was really lovely. We stayed at my friend's place because they weren't using it, and so we just had such a nice Thanksgiving, and it was very calm and peaceful. And then after that, it was kind of like go time prepping for Christmas, which I think a lot of you can relate. It just tends to be a very chaotic time of year, and last minute gift shopping, that whole bit. But peppered in with that, we actually had a wedding in San Diego to go to for my husband's cousin. And we stayed at the Hotel Coronado, and it was such a beautiful wedding. It was so nice to meet some of his family members that I haven't met, which is actually kind of crazy when you think about it, because he and I have been together for 12 years. And I'm still meeting family members. He's got a very big family. So anyway, we had that whole trip, which I will also just sprinkle this in here. I love Coronado. I love San Diego. It's a beautiful city. And it's a beach town, but it's also just kind of like low-key chill. A lot of locals who live there. I don't know. I love it. I'll be honest and just say, like, I'm not a huge beach person. That's why we live in the mountains and I'm very happy here. But I will say that is probably one of my favorite beach towns that we have gone to. We've actually been there twice, and I loved it both times. So we had that like the week before Christmas. And then we had a window of time where we were home for like 5 days. And then it was like pack up and leave and go to Texas for like 10 days. So we have been just going nonstop. And that's why I just really haven't had time to sit down and film. So it feels good to be back. Now that we're home, I took some time to refresh my home, maybe is the best way to put it. Sort of deep clean and prep my home for the new year. I love the beginning of the year because I find it to be a time that you can really evaluate how your last year went and set your intentions and goals for the upcoming year. I wouldn't really say I'm much of someone who's into resolutions, but I do like to take some time to just reflect on my previous year and my intentions for the upcoming year. So one of the things that is really important to me for this upcoming year is being very intentional with my time. Because I think especially in today's society, there's such a push to be on social media, to be active on social media. And especially with what I do, I think that it can be sort of this time warping thing that you do. You sit down to do one thing, you end up watching a bunch of videos and stuff now because everything is video content. And then you've lost an hour of your day and you're like, well, crud, now I don't have as much time to get stuff done in my own life because I was too busy watching everybody else's life. So I want to be very intentional with my time. One of the things that I did last year regarding social media was putting time limits on my Instagram. I have a timer that tells me if I've spent an hour on it for the day, and that's to let me know that it's time to get off. And so I feel like lately, especially, I just really haven't been spending as much time on social media, and I've been trying to be more present in my own life and my own home. And I feel like that has been such a great shift. And I want to continue and carry on with that through 2023. I've talked about it before in another video, but I found that, if I spend too much time watching a bunch of like short form content like Reels and TikTok and all that kind of stuff, I feel very anxious afterwards, like I should be doing something. And I think, part of it is my subconscious being like, hey, like you have a life too, you need to go do stuff. But just limiting that amount that I spend on social media is something that I want to carry through 2023. I love that concealer, by the way. That is the Sisle Phyto-Cernes Eclat. I wear shade 1.5. I think I had shade 2 before, and even though it's a bit more peachy, I think it also works well to help conceal dark circles. But this stuff is sort of like Spanx for your under eye. It has some caffeine, and I just find that it really helps to even out around my eyes. I don't feel like it gets cakey or heavy. It's just this sort of luminous lifting formula. It is expensive, but I've had it before, and the other day before we left for one of our trips, I was like, I just look tired and I want to look more alive. So I have had some issues with my skin being a little dry and flaky lately, and I think part of that is from travel, and I didn't take all of my skincare to one place. And then when I came home, it was super dry. And then I just think, changes in water and stuff. Oh dear, this is not going well. And we're back. That was not fun. If I'm a little bit red, it's because I just buffed my skin a whole bunch with a microfiber cloth. That redness will calm down. I did try to patch up my foundation and stuff. Anyway, moving on. So, like I said, I really want to be very intentional with my time this year. That's something that's very important to me, and being present in my everyday life. I also think that philosophy of being present can carry over into relationships, being intentional with time and setting aside time for the people that we care about. So since we have moved to Colorado, I feel like my social life has sort of taken off since we've been here. It's been wonderful. I've made a lot of friends, and I'm constantly busy and social. And I think there's something very interesting I feel like I've learned since we've been here. And it's that you should be the friend that you want. So I think a lot of times as adults, I hear people say like it's really hard to make friends as an adult. And I do think that there is some merit to that. But I think that also we should be the ones that are initiating. I think a lot of times we can kind of sit back and hope that people will reach out and that we'll go and meet up and do things. But I think it's important to be the friend that initiates, to be the friend that says, hey, let's set aside time to go do this. And I've noticed, like, since we've been here, I do that a lot. And I've developed some really wonderful friendships because I've been the one to initiate instead of being the one that just sat around feeling like they didn't have any friends. And I feel like since I've been here, I'm using the Guerlain Terracotta. I love this bronzer so much. I've just noticed like my social life is much more active and busy than it used to be, because I think I used to sort of throw myself a pity party and feel like, oh, I don't really have any friends. I don't have any female friends, whatever. And I actually do have a lot of friends, but I think you get what you give. So setting aside that time for other people and being the one to reach out, I think is really important. And so I really want to carry that also through this year. Oh my gosh, I love this bronzer so much. I got this last year and it's still like a top rated bronzer for me. I love that it has that little bit of pink. This is considered one of their like cool tone bronzers. I wouldn't really call it a cool tone, but it's definitely not as orange leaning as a lot of bronzers. And I just really love how it just kind of picks up my complexion a bit. Especially in the winter time, I feel like I start to look a little pale and sallow, and this just makes me feel a little more glowy in the best way possible. So like I said, being the friend, initiating those friendships, that's another goal and intention for 2023. And it kind of circles me back to my feelings on social media. I feel like I've had a lot of epiphanies. This is Milani, what is it? It's like a baked powder blush in Luminoso. It's kind of this peachy color. I really liked this. I got this over Christmas, and it just has this, gives you that really fresh, pretty glow. I'm just using the same brush as my bronzer. But sort of, like I said, circling back to social media and my thoughts and revelations on it as of late, I found I don't really want to spend as much time on social media for the reasons I mentioned, because I feel like you just kind of lose your day. But again, being intentional with relationships and things like that, I've noticed there is this really interesting phenomenon with interacting with people on social media via comments on posts and things like that. And I feel like, how is the best way to put this? I feel like most interactions on social media, on comments and posts and things like that, are very shallow. They are not very filled with depth, and I feel like a lot of times those interactions leave me feeling a little hollow, maybe, or just kind of sad. I think there was one particular interaction with someone as another creator where like I had commented on their post about how I really liked the product that they got too, that it worked really well for me also. And like I kind of echoed their sentiment in their post about really liking it. And I just remember, I don't remember exactly what she said in response, but I remember how her response made me feel. And like it was just such a surface level interaction with this person. And I think that social media has really changed the way that we interact with people, because a lot of times, especially in the beautyscape, people will comment like, yes, girl, or just very like short snippet comments that really don't add any value or conversation. But it's something that a lot of creators started doing, commenting on other people's posts to stimulate the algorithm. And I don't feel like that's really the best use of my time. What kind of social media person am I? I want to actually have real interactions with people, and that's something that's very important to me. I feel like I have more meaningful interactions with people in my YouTube comments than when I've been on Instagram and like trying to comment on other people's posts. And I understand and I recognize that a lot of creators have big followings, and so they try to do little snippet comments to, be able to interact with everybody. But sometimes it's almost like just hit the heart, hit the like button on what someone said, instead of trying to respond with something that really doesn't add any value or meaning or conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like, I am just at a place in my life that short form content really is just not doing it for me. I don't get super excited about it. I want to actually have real interactions and conversations with people. So if you see less of me on actual Instagram posts, I'm still active on stories, but if you see less of me on Instagram posts, this is why. I'm going to use my little Lisa Eldridge palette. I have to say, this is the Cinnabar palette, and I have really, really loved this. I traveled with this. I've created some really beautiful looks with this. It's an easy palette to use. And I found it really interesting because on my actual Lisa Eldridge video, a lot of people had said that they saw negative reviews about these palettes and things like that. And some people were saying they go like hard pan. So something I think is really interesting, you could look at this and almost think maybe that's kind of going hard pan, but it's not. You still pick up pigment. I think that the formula is soft. And so sometimes when you kind of press into it, it can almost look like you're not going to pick stuff up, but you do. I don't know. I don't understand the hate towards this palette because I absolutely love it and I think it's beautiful. So what I'm going to do for today is I'm going to take this sort of coppery color and lightly put this on my lid space. I'm going to do a little bit of a crease color. This is sort of a look that I did for the wedding in San Diego. I also had a very bright red lip, which I absolutely loved. So back to 2023 and what I want to get out of this year, what I want to put into this year. Being intentional with my time, being intentional with my relationships, being intentional with my interactions and where I'm putting my energy forth. I want to be very intentional with the content that I put out as well. And I think over the years, we've seen this sort of shift in beauty content where if you're not creating content around the latest launch, your videos don't get a lot of views. And I think that's really unfortunate, to be honest, but it creates this really weird sense of urgency to constantly be buying the next new thing, even if it's not something you're super, super interested in. Now, I will say I've done a pretty good job about being very intentional with my purchases. I do purchase a lot of my own products. I do get gifted a little bit of stuff here and there, but I just want to continue being mindful of what I am buying, the content that I am putting out. I don't want to just put out content for the sake of putting out a new video, right? Like, I want there to be a reason. I want it to be about products that I'm actually really interested in. So the truth is, like, I may continue having very slow growth because I'm not constantly chasing trends, but I would rather bring the people here that are also of the same mind, who are not interested in just constantly churning out the next new thing or getting super hyped or obsessed or whatever with the latest and greatest product. I don't think you need to buy new stuff all the time. It's fun. It's a nice little dopamine hit when you buy something new, but I think, again, this year for me is really about being intentional. 2023, I feel like it's the year of intention. Are you noticing a theme here? All right, I'm going to take this kind of mid-tone chocolatey shade on a slightly angly dome type brush. I wouldn't do that on other people, but it's my own brush and I really don't care. And what I've been doing that I've really liked is sort of creating a shadow wing. And because I have somewhat deep set eyes, opening and closing to be able to really see where that shadow is going. I like that sort of elongated eye shape. I think it's really something that flatters most eye shapes, but I have kind of almondy eyes anyway, so that does tend to work with my eye shape pretty well. I really do think these eyeshadows are so easy to work with. I really, really do love this palette. I'm going to take a very tiny brush. This is the Refer 23. And then I'm going to take this really dark kind of cocoa espresso-y shade and follow underneath that line that I just created. Just adds a little bit of extra strength and definition to what we've already got. And then I also want to take just a little bit more of that on the very outer corner of my lower lashes, just because it creates more of that rounded shape underneath, and I think it kind of opens my eyes up a bit. Happy with that. Okay, so now I'm going to take the really glitzy, kind of glittery topper pan, this like champagne color, it's so pretty, and press that on my inner corner. And I kind of like a little bit on the underneath inner corner as well. I think it just kind of helps to open my eyes up a bit. It's so pretty. It's very subtle, but it just, I love that. The other things for 2023, going beyond just being intentional with all my choices and my time and that sort of thing, is I really want to continue exploring my personal style. This is, I think, kind of a fun conversation. I was talking with my husband, and you know, over the years, I think everybody, when you're in your 20s, kind of experiments with their style and tries to identify, like, what is it that I want to be known for? What is my look? And I think for me, you know, I've dabbled with a lot of different things, and I've kind of come up with what I feel like my style is and where I want to keep following it. So I thrift like 90% of my clothes. Like I love thrifting. I think it's really fun. I do buy some new stuff, but when I'm thrifting, I try to really stick within the parameters of what I think my style is and to really hone in on that. And you can get a lot of really great pieces at a very affordable price. Like I really lucked out and I found an Yves Saint Laurent wool coat blazer type thing for $10. Thrifting, it takes time, but it's worth it. So anyway, the way that I sort of identified my style, I was talking with my husband and I said, I want you to guess how I would describe my style. What do you think I would say? And he really wasn't sure. And I said, okay, I want you to think of people that kind of fit with my style and particular taste. And he still was a little stumped. And I said, do you want me to tell you? And he's like, okay. And I was like, I feel like my style is like Kate Middleton, almost British classic, mixed with a little bit of Wednesday Addams. And he was like, I would not have guessed that, but I can definitely see it. And the reason I say that, I do have a very classic sort of style. And you can look at my hair, like it's like kind of this barrel curl business. And a lot of the clothes that I wear are relatively sophisticated, things that you might see someone wear for like office wear or an outing. But then sometimes like I'll throw in some combat boots or like a really moody makeup look. And so it like doesn't always fit with like that super classic sort of look. So yeah, Kate Middleton meets Wednesday Addams. That's kind of where you find me. So I want to continue developing my style this year and really just kind of owning that. And it's been a really fun process. Part of me, I would love to know if you're watching this, if you're interested in this type of video, but part of me would love to share like some of my favorite thrift finds and like the things that I look for when I am purchasing something from the thrift store. And I feel like that could be a really fun video. I know that's not beauty related, but if you're interested in seeing something like that, please let me know in the comment box below because I would be more than happy to share. That is something that I'm pretty passionate about. I do love thrifting and I've found so many wonderful pieces of clothing, and I'm constantly complimented on my style, like when I'm out and about or like when I go to some sort of an event or something like that. And I just think that could be a really fun style of video that's just a bit different, but also something that I've wanted to explore for years. So let me know if you're into that. I'm not making a separate channel for that. I don't have time for that. But if you do want to see that, let me know. All right, let's put some brows on. I still love this pencil from House Labs, by the way. It's been pretty great. It's a good color. I think, what was the name? Cinnamon is the color for my hair. Speaking of, you know, honing in on my personal style and taste, I think especially after the launching of Wednesday, I think we're going to continue to see sort of edgy, gothy type styles and trends through makeup and hair. I don't know if people are really going to adopt braided pigtails, but you know, like maybe that'll happen. I thought that was such a fun show though. My husband and I both really enjoyed that. And I would love more show suggestions for those of you who have watched Wednesday. If you liked that, if you like that kind of mystery style, kind of quirky humor, please let me know what else you're watching because I would love to find some new shows for the new year. Other thing for the new year, and this is, you know, again, it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but how do I even start this conversation? It should be like a whole separate video. as a child of the 90s and early 2000s, I, like so many other people, feel personally victimized by diet culture. Okay? I think, there's always some sort of trend happening with weight and our bodies, and a lot of times coming in the guise of being healthier. And as a child of those decades, I definitely, succumbed to the notions of eating lower fat, eating no sugar, eating no carbs, intermittent fasting, trying this like bone broth thing. And I even had a video up when I tried the whole like bone broth and eating less carbs, and I lost a lot of weight, but that was not healthy or sustainable. And that video, I ended up taking it down because I was not comfortable with providing that kind of advice to people. And I felt like it actually was very unhealthy, like looking back on it. Yes, I did lose a bunch of weight. Yes, it worked. But like, what happened when I stopped just having bone broth and actually eating carbs again? I gained it all back. I think diet culture is so heavily ingrained into life and the culture of the US, right? Like, and it doesn't work. Diet culture does not work. It doesn't make you healthier, and it creates this kind of yo-yo effect. And so something that I've struggled with my weight, for a while now. And part of it is because I have hypothyroidism. But again, coming back to like diet culture, and I tried so hard to try all of these different things. And what happens every time, you end up going back to how you were before. So one of the things that I started doing before Thanksgiving of this last year, I picked an interesting time to start this process, but I think it actually worked out in my favor. I started using the app Noom, and the best way that I can describe it is almost like anti-diet culture. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, oh, it's a weight loss app. But no, it's helped me to retrain my brain out of old thoughts and patterns and habits of avoiding certain food groups and that sort of thing. The thing that I like so much about Noom is that it's not telling you don't eat this. It's telling you be reasonable with it. And so like over Christmas, I didn't gain any weight. I didn't lose any either, but like I didn't gain any weight, and that is significant. And so, I'm excited to see how my progress continues throughout 2023. I do have some personal health related goals with my weight, and I want to be within a healthier BMI. Obviously, BMI does not tell the entire picture of your health, but for certain health goals and reasons that are a little more personal, I do have some goals related to my weight. And so I'm trying to manage that in a really healthy way. And I think that Noom has been the healthiest approach to weight loss because I'm not avoiding any foods. I ate fudge and drank at Christmas, but I'm actually seeing results and progress. And so it's helping to break down all of the diet culture that I absorbed as a child. And now I'm not doing things like avoiding carbs. And for the first time in a really long time, I'm actually losing weight. So if you're interested in Noom, I'll put a link down below. There is like a referral program. It's like, I think you get like 20% off, and then it's like a $20 Amazon credit to me or something. But the one thing I will say, if you're interested in joining Noom and you want to try it out, fill out the questionnaire, but don't submit payment. Exit it out. And then they will send you emails with a better discount. That's my 2 cents, a little piece of advice. But I've really enjoyed Noom, and I think that it is quite helpful. So the next thing I'm going to use is this new L'Oreal Telescopic Lift Mascara. If you've ever used the telescopic mascaras before, they have a very skinny wand that's kind of flexible. This wand is very different. If you look at it head on the sides of it, you can see all of these little bristles that are designed to hook onto your lashes. Now, if I turn it, you'll see it's very skinny this way. And the reason is there's no bristles on one side of it. And then on the other side, when I turn it like this, hopefully I can kind of see, you can see those longer bristles on the side. And then in the center, it's almost like just very short bristles, and it holds on to quite a bit of product. So the idea with this mascara is to use that fat middle section, there, and then to turn it and use the side bristles to really comb through. So let me apply this for you. And this mascara is really beautiful. I've worn it once before and I already have some thoughts. Let me put this on and we'll talk about it. Right in the eyeball. Shoot, that hurt. My eye's watering like crazy. Oh my gosh, my eyeball is watering so bad. Oh, that really hurt. I haven't done that with this mascara. Basically, watch yourself if you're applying this, because if it goes inside of the rim of your eyelid, it's gonna really hurt. Oh, that felt really bad. Beautiful mascara. I'll clean up those little smudges in just a second once my eye stops watering. Let's cautiously apply to the other eye. I do like that this mascara builds so quickly, and because of this plastic brush, it really does help to lift and separate your lashes while it's applying that product. And I love wands like this in general for that reason. I always have the best lashes with this style of mascara. But this brush is very unique. I don't think I've ever really used anything quite like it. I've used some mascaras before that didn't have the bristles on one side, but never that were like this fat and kind of flat across. It's really unique. What I like so much about this is that I don't really feel like I need a lash comb or something to separate my lashes, because the sides of this brush do a really great job of that. I love this mascara. But I do have one complaint, and we'll see if I can sort of resolve that today. That's so dramatic. Oh, love it. I'm a lash girl. If you're not, I'm sorry, but I am. And I love big, bushy eyelashes. The thing about this mascara in particular that really drew me in was that it says that it can add up to 5 millimeters of length, which I have long lashes because I use a lash serum, but this, like, they look like false lashes, and I'm a big fan of that kind of look. To finish out this look today, I'm going to use my Westman Atelier Le Rouge palette. This is my second one that I've owned, so that should tell you I'm a big, big fan of this. I'm thinking for today, I want to do the bright fuchsia color. So I'm just using a small brush. This is actually not a lip brush. It's a concealer brush from that Sisle, like, whatever under eye stuff that I had. I love this as a lip brush though. It's like the perfect texture. It's great if you have like smaller under eye imperfections and that sort of thing, but I just find that using a bigger brush is more time effective when I'm putting on concealer. Anyway, so I'm gonna start out with this, and I may layer with another shade from this pan, we'll see. This is a pretty cool toned blue-based fuchsia. Which is very pretty, especially moving into spring, but I think sometimes I need a little bit of extra warmth because I have a lot of gold in my skin. And I think sometimes mixing another one of the shades in takes away some of that starkness. You'll notice when I apply this, I sort of line the edge of my lips with that product, and then I go back and I fill it in a bit more. I do want to add a little update too, just in regards to my lips. I did a video at the end of last year about Ourself Lip Filler. It's a topical treatment. It's not like an injection, but it really did plump out my lips a lot, and I still use it every single day. It is such a incredible transformational product if you have some volume loss in your lips, but you don't want to go the route of using injectables. I love that stuff so much. If you haven't seen that video, I'll put a link up here so you can go check it out, but it really has made a huge difference in my lips, and I feel like it has expanded the border of my lips by several millimeters. And the reason that I say that is anytime I'm applying product now, I really have to like pay attention to where the edges of my lips are so I fully cover them. I think I'm going to add a little bit of the tomato shade from that Westman Atelier palette. I think especially with this peachier blush, adding a little bit of extra warmth to this shade is going to make the look a little more cohesive. I don't mind it the way that it is, but I do think it would look better with a bit more warmth to tie in that blush. So I'm going to use this pan. And it's, I think just with that blush, it's going to look really nice. And I kind of want to focus it on the center. Let's try that. And the final thing I want to do is blur it out a bit. I feel like this product in particular just looks so much more beautiful when it's softened out a bit. All right, so this is the final look for today. I love how this look came out. I really love this Exa foundation. I feel like it's one of the few that looks really nice on my skin. I've really had some issues lately, I feel like, with foundations just emphasizing texture or just not melting in and looking natural. And so I really like the Exa foundation for that reason. I just feel like it makes my skin look really, really nice. That Sisle concealer is absolutely beautiful. And I just feel like it makes my face look so much more refreshed and awake, and it doesn't settle into lines a ton or anything like that. The only issue I've had with that mascara is that it does tend to start transferring up here around hour 7. I mean, and that's really just, that's kind of the problem with having deep set eyes and longer eyelashes and being someone who really loves mascara. It's just kind of my reality, right? Like if I'm not using a tubing formula, a lot of times I do get some transfer. So one of the things that I did today was apply my eyeshadow primer, the Urban Decay, just the original, and then putting some eyeshadow over top of that. Usually that will cut down on transfer for me, so we'll see at the end of today if that helps. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you have a wonderful start to your new year. And if you like this video, please give it a little thumbs up. If you want to see more from me, make sure you subscribe, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.